This is going to be the first in a couple different videos to show you how to isolate your objects and composite them together using Photoshop. So I have three objects here. I have these three cats, which I added to this background, and I have my object, which is the bed right here. The curtains could also count as an object because I had to put this cat behind the curtains to sit on the windowsill. Now this was an object that was already part of the background, so you will want to make sure that you are adding a separate object to your images. So the first thing you need to do is make your photographs. And I have done that. I have them all open in these different tabs, open in Photoshop. So I have the background, I have the container, have the white cat, which if you look in the final composite has been turned to pink. I have the puzzle cat, and then I have the black cat. And we're going to use this image to demonstrate how to use the QuickSelect tool. But before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about how I made this image. I made this image on campus in the imaging lab. There's one on the St. Paul campus in McNeil Hall, and there's one on the East Bank in Rapson. Now there's more information on the imaging lab in your syllabus, and there's also a link to the website that has the imaging lab hours and other information. The imaging lab is great because it has studio lights, it has studio backdrops like this great white backdrop it's got other colors as well, and it has high quality cameras that you can borrow to use while you're in the imaging lab. So if you don't have a high quality camera, this would be a way that you can get some high quality images. So I've done that. If you're shooting at home, that's okay too. Just make sure that you have a nice place that's lit well, either with outdoor light by a window or lights that you've added, and some kind of background. It doesn't have to be a plain background, but what's important about your background is that it contrasts the color of your object. If this black cat were shot on a black background, it would be very difficult to isolate. So I shot it on a white background. That is key. Now, to use the Quick Select tool, I'm going to go over to my tool palette on the left-hand side. My Quick Select tool is the fourth from the top. That's brush with the circle next to it. If I hover over it, it will say Quick Select tool, and the keyboard shortcut is W. I'm going to zoom in on my image a little bit with Command plus, just so it's easier to see. And when I choose my Quick Select tool, I have gotten some options have appeared up here. When I'm off of that tool, those options are not there. And what I'm going to be using is the add to my selection, the subtract to my selection, and then I'm probably going to also want to choose my brush size. I'm going to keep my size relatively small, but I can change it if I need to, and my hardness I'm going to keep at 100%. Now, to use the Quick Select tool, I just move into the image, I hover over the object that I want to isolate, I'm going to click and drag with the Quick Select tool. And you can see that it has very quickly selected my object. Now, if I made a mistake, if I was moving my mouse through the object and I grazed the white space between, now the whole white space has been selected too. So to deselect it, there's two ways to do that. I could go up to the top and choose the remove from selection, but I like the shortcut command. If I hold down the Option key on the keyboard, the little plus in the middle turns into a minus, and if I click and drag, I can deselect that middle bit. All right, so now I'm ready to make a mask. Now in Photoshop, we work non-destructively, which means we never delete anything. We always mask it out. We always want to be able to go back to our original image. Now, before I do that, I see that my background layer is locked. I'm going to make sure I unlock it just by clicking on the lock icon there. And then it allows me to make a layer mask, which is this icon at the bottom of the layers palette, the triangle with the circle in the middle. So if I click that, you can see the white background disappeared. It was not deleted, it's just hidden. And you can see that this icon appeared, or this thumbnail appeared next to my image thumbnail, which is showing the black area, which is the area hidden, the white area, which is the area revealed. And I can see there's my object. Now I'm going to zoom in a little bit, like right here. I'm looking at this and I'm not sure that's quite accurate. It looks a little unnatural. And I can fix that. There's the paintbrush tool on my tool palette. I'm going to grab that And I'm going to make sure I'm working on my mask. If those little white brackets were around my image, this wouldn't work the same way, so I want to make sure those brackets are against my mask. I'm also going to pay attention to the color that I have here, black or white. Black hides, white reveals. I can change it by hitting the little arrow on top of it, or I can use the X key on my keyboard, which is what I prefer. So white reveals, so I'm going to make sure that my brush is on a white color, and I'm just going to color in my image, and it has given me back that area. If I put black on top, black will hide, so I can actually hide some of this. Now you can see there's a feather on this brush, which I don't like very much, so I can go up to the top of the screen. My hardness is at 0. I probably want my hardness close to 100. That will help. So I'm going to make white on top to reveal by hitting the X, and I'm just going to color that feather back in so that feels better. And go back over here, and that looks great, just like that. So that's a way that I can adjust my image. And if I zoom in even a little closer, I can see that white bit there that I don't want. X to put black on top to hide, and I can just carefully click and drag and eliminate that area. I'm not deleting it, I'm just adding it to the mask. And that looks like that's pretty good. Command 0 to fit on screen, or I can zoom in with Command plus just a little bit, and that looks better. Now, like I said, this is non-destructive. I could go over to this mask and delete the mask, and I'm not going to apply it, I'm just going to delete it, and there's my image back again. So I'm going to Command Z to undo that, but you can see I can always go back to my original, which is the point of non-destructive editing. Now that I have that cat isolated, I'm going to go to File, Save As, and I'm going to call this title as Black Cat Isolated, so I have my original photo if I still need it. And it's a Photoshop file. I can change the format down below where it says Format, and it's going to go in my Project 2 folder where all my photos are, all the photos that I want to isolate, as well as my background. And I'm going to click Save. I'm going to click OK to maximize compatibility. And there we have it. I have my first object isolated. See you in the next video.